So let's go to Alex in Nashville, Tennessee, right down the street. What's up, Alex?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
I can hear you even louder and clearer. I'm a one-upper, I guess. I don't know why I just said that. What's up, man?
Well, frankly, I am not okay, Doc. That's why I'm calling you.
Well, I'm glad you called, man. Let's figure it out. What's up?
So, just to let you know, disclaimer, basically, I'm not here to talk about how wrong my wife is. We both have issues that we need to deal with.
Okay.
I love her to bits and pieces, and the more years I spend with my wife, the more I understand how to care for her. That's why I'm here. That's why I want to get to the bottom of this.
Let's do it.
Okay. So, I've been, a little bit background about myself. I've been sexually abused when I was about 9 years old. This was at school. I have plenty of babysitters. I had no clue that I was drugged to sleep at some times, but now I know. And I suffer from uncontrollable sexual thoughts, fear, doubt, broken self-esteem. There'll be some days when I come home, I'll be fine, and some days I'll be just terrible.
Okay.
If it wasn't for my family, though, like later on in the days, I probably would have been in a psychiatric facility by now.
Okay. So have you received mental health care over the years?
Not necessarily. I went to a counselor here and there, but it always backlashes with my current marriage. Either we still have things to figure out, and I'm trying to figure out where to go from here.
Have you taken the ACEs score? The ACEs test?
I have not yet.
Okay. I want you to do that right when we get off the phone. It's the Adverse Childhood Experiences Inventory and our survey. And I want you to take it. It's 10 questions. It'll take you 5 minutes.
Okay.
My guess is, just based on what you told me, your score is probably somewhere between 6 and 8, if maybe not a little bit higher. A score over a 4 has been demonstrated to shorten lifespan if undealt with. And here's why.
Okay.
It sets your body off on high alert 24/7, 365, and our bodies aren't designed to go 24/7, 365.
Mm.
And so it slowly cascades through everything. Okay. So I'm telling you that because just listening to your story, you sound like a pretty great guy whose car is redlining and has been since he was 9 years old.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay. All right. So we won't harp on that because that's not why you're calling. So tell me about your marriage, man.
So my wife has broken parents. They never gave her love. They never spent time with her. Never understood her. They still treat her as a child. Today. Her father was a workaholic. Her mother was a stay-at-home mom. She will actually take care of her animals instead of her child, and that's just very, very depressing. But now the anger and the regret and all those things are showing in the relationship, and it's very hard because I'm a very passive man. I don't really like conflict. I don't love conflict, and I'm the kind of person to just leave the situation rather than to fight in the situation. Most of the time, when we come to a disagreement, it just becomes very yelling, anger, shouting, and sometimes I just wonder why. What did I do? And it's always about what did I do and how can I make it better. And it has been difficult since our marriage. But yeah.
So I'm gonna. I can tell that. Fragile isn't the right word, but I can tell that you've got deep pain, okay? Mm-hmm. And some of the things that normally this conversation, if you had just said what you said and we were in a counseling relationship, it would take a lot longer to get there because I would need your body to understand that I'm safe, okay? Mm-hmm. Because we only have a few minutes on a phone call, I'm going to be a little more direct than I normally would, okay? Yeah. So if you feel your body starting to shut down, I want you to stay with me the best you can. Okay.
Okay.
I'm on your team. Okay.
Okay.
So my first thing I want you to hold and I want you to hold it in your hand because you probably never held it before. People who have been sexually abused often carry deep, deep shame. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
People who carry deep shame often, not always, but often find themselves as adults, as peacekeepers, as making sure everybody else is okay. And I want you to think of the peacekeeping role, you instantly go to the mirror and say, what did I do? How can I make this better? I'm so sorry that you're hurting. I'm so sorry that you're mad. I'm so sorry that you're loud. How can I fix this? How can I fix this? I want you to think of that as a selfish act. And not as a judgment. I just want you to be curious about it.
Mhm.
Because maybe your wife's response has absolutely nothing to do with you. And when you try to go fix something that's spinning around inside of her, it creates tension and chaos and conflict. Here's what I'm going to back out. Your body has just a couple of ways to respond to threats. Fighting and fleeing are two of the main ones, or freezing. So think of the same issue. You have a tiger that's been chasing you your whole life, which is shame from sexual abuse. And probably parents who said, hey, don't tell anybody, or friends who you kept secrets from, and all the relational damage that comes out of that stuff. And your wife has dragons that have been chasing her forever. And in fact, those dragons are still real. They're still right in front of her. In that situation, your body chooses to flee. Her body chooses to fight. But the underlying reality is the same. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then that lands in your living room, and you're trying to solve something that she doesn't want you to solve, but she wants to blame you for something that you can't have right? It just gets in this weird figure 8 dance.
Yeah.
Does that sound right?
Yeah, it sounds about right. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm getting a sense that you are being very generous when you describe your wife as getting mad at you. Tell me how she expresses herself to you.
Yeah, of course. I mean, very. It's kind of a weird situation to be in. I mean, like,
hey, hold on,
yourself,
Alex. You have spent your whole life defending other people. Okay. Be honest about it.
Yeah.
I will. My promise to you is I will not talk bad about your wife. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
I won't do that.
Okay.
Okay. But you've got to be honest with me.
Okay.
How does she treat you?
Yeah. Well, not good. I mean, there have been some cases where I try, even fleeing doesn't really help it, and sometimes makes it worse.
Right.
There were a couple times where, the police were involved, and
is she hitting you, screaming at you, threatening you?
I was in the vehicle she was driving, and it got pretty hectic. She was driving recklessly, and it was pretty bad. But so at that time I had to find help, and the help that I got was it was good, but at the same time it was pretty tense after that because I was away for a while. We were doing marriage counseling, but... So
hold on, you're speaking kind of in code. Did you move out for a while?
I did move out for a while.
Listen to me.
I believe it was for a few weeks.
Okay, listen.
I'm not sure.
That was the right thing to do, and I'm proud of you. Okay? It's the right thing to do. I'm very proud of you.
It felt wrong, though.
I know. Shame, deep, unaddressed shame creates these imaginary duties that we have to everybody else in the world. And then when we can't fulfill these duties that aren't even real, our bodies beat us up for not being able to solve them. Okay?
Okay.
And I want you to think about this. She has parents that said, treat her like a child still. Those type of parents withhold love if the performance by the kid isn't up to par. So if she doesn't do whatever they say in the right way she says it, regardless of what it is, they ignore her, they shun her, they don't invite her, they say, well, then we're not going out to dinner, then you can't, whatever. And so you have to understand her core wound, the thing deep inside of her is, this person in front of me who says they love me is going to leave. What your body tells you is, if you get too close to somebody, you're going to get abused again.
Mm.
And so when somebody comes close to you, you bolt. And it's the right thing for your body. And her body screams, he's leaving again. And then she goes to war, to which makes you go, I got to get super the hell out of here. And so you see how each person's trauma is just playing right into the other one's.
Yeah.
The only way this gets healed is one of you has the courage to turn and stare it down. And that's what you did. That's what you're doing. What you're doing is really hard.
Yeah.
And I'm super proud of you.
Thank you, doctor.
It's hard. Okay. Now, how can I help you? Is there a particular situation, or what are you thinking through? What's a thing that's going on?
Okay, so I just want to understand how not to lash out her, because lately, after coming back, it has gotten better in some cases, but there tends to be that one time throughout the year, or a few times throughout the year, where, we get into a big argument.
Yes.
And I'm starting to be less and less flighty and more about fighting.
Attaboy.
And I don't like that.
I know you don't like it.
I don't want to go there.
But you have to. You have to. I know you don't want to. Everything in your body says run. But your heart says, I love her. I'm in this marriage. She's hurting. I'm hurting. I'm standing my ground. Okay?
So basically, I guess my question is, how do I make the arguments less explosive? Or how am I able to control my feelings from getting in the way to having an actual adult conversation?
The fact that you're asking that question tells me you're wise beyond your years. And if every person in a romantic relationship in the world would ask that question, the world would change overnight. Okay? Here, I'm going to give you a couple of words that I want you to put in your back pocket, okay? And when this call comes out, and I want you to take it, I want you to take a piece of paper and write down what I'm saying, okay?
Okay.
The first thing is, these conversations have to be done offline. Meaning, you can't just try to engage. You can't just practice shooting a basketball when the game is in the middle of a playoff game. You got to spend intentional time at practice for years before the playoffs, because the playoffs have super heightened tension. There's a lot of people watching. There's a lot on the line here. And so I want you and your wife to step out and be honest with each other. Your childhood sucked. And then you can look across the table and say, your childhood sucked too. And the beautiful thing is that y'all get to choose what happens next. And so often the exercise of, let's take all money off the table. Let's take all our past abuse off the table. Let's take our parents having to come over for Thanksgiving off the table. Let's take it all off the table. What do we want our one wild, reckless, crazy marriage to look like? It could be anything we want. Where do we want to live? What jobs do we want to have? Have some fun with that. And you know the things that she loves, whether it's a great meal or flowers or a weekend getaway, whatever it is, make it happen. Okay? The goal here is to change the environment and to sit down and say, okay, let's create a new picture that we can both work towards. Because right now, both of y'all have been running from dragons and y'all keep crashing into each other. Let's go together to something. All right? So we're going to create a new picture, a really high definition picture, very clear. We want to live in this place in a house that looks like this. And here's the number 2. How do you want the house to feel when you walk in after work? And what we're looking for here is warm and quiet, or hilarious and loud and safe and silly. Okay?
Yeah.
And what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to create that for the other person.
Yeah.
So what I like when I walk in,
that sounds like a dream.
It does, right? But here's the thing. Here's the number 3, and this is the big one that I want you to circle and highlight. Y'all have never done this before, and you've never even seen it done. It feels like a Harry Potter episode, like a fantasy. It's like it's not real. And so you're going to have to practice it. And that means you're going to screw up a lot. Steph Curry misses shots in practice, a lot of them. But he keeps taking them so that in a game he'll make them. And so what this means is y'all are going to go say, okay, here's what practicing looks like. When you start yelling, I am choosing to hear that is that you're done with the conversation. I choose to not be yelled at. So if you yell, you're telling me that you don't want to engage right now. And I'm going to head out. And if you want me to stay, then you are going to have to talk to me with dignity and respect in a quiet way. And that she gets to tell you, every time you run, when I get scared or I get loud, my body feels like I'm being abandoned again. And so when I get fired up and you feel me tense, I need you to turn and stand your ground. I need you to reach up with both hands and hold my hands and say, I'm not going anywhere. I love you. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What we're doing here is we're asking the other person, when in a calm situation, over a lunch, over a breakfast, we're in a romantic place, we're hanging out, whatever, we're in a Waffle House. I don't care where you are. How can I best love you when your mom or dad says something that just sets you off? How can I best love you when you have super over-sexualized thoughts and you're feeling a lot of shame? How can I best love you? And let's teach each other and give each other that language. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Does this just sound, does it sound like insane, or does it sound like, wow, this is amazing?
It sounds possible. It sounds possible.
Okay.
The third one being the most probably the hardest, but
of course,
it sounds like it's possible.
But you see how it's all a progression. So we're going to do the easy thing, which is what kind of house we want to live in? What town? If we could live in any town, what would it look like? And we're going to slowly get back to, you get home from an exhausting day at work and your mom's been screaming at you on the phone and you walk in the door. How can I best love you then? And so we're gonna go from easy, which is I want a 5-bedroom house with 3 pools and a tiger in the backyard or whatever, all the way to stuff we've never seen before, which is I just need you to hold me for 2 minutes and please don't ask me any questions. I just need to feel safe. Right? We're gonna get that granular, and then we're just gonna practice it, and you're gonna forget. She's gonna come in blowing and going, and you're just gonna disappear. And as you're running away, you're gonna go, oh, no, I gotta turn. And your body's gonna say, get out of here. And you're gonna say, I love her. I'm heading back in. Or she's gonna come screaming at you, trying to smash something, or saying, I'm gonna crash this car. And at the stoplight, you're gonna get out and you're gonna say, I love you. And I'm choosing to walk away right now. And you walk away. But y'all have already discussed that, hey, if you choose this, I'm choosing this.
I see.
And let me tell you this other thing that you don't want to hear, okay? For the sake of you, my friend Alex, my neighbor here in town, for the sake of your marriage, you're going to have to go see a trauma counselor and say, for the first time, I was sexually abused when I was a kid. My family did not respond that well. And I'm ready to seek healing.
Yeah.
Okay? You have to do that.
Yeah.
And what my promise is if you get with a good trauma therapist here in Nashville, there's some incredible therapists here in town. If you get in to see one, it's going to be expensive and it's going to take a while. And that's okay.
Yeah.
At the end of it.
My question would be like, how many times do I have to go and like what am I supposed to be doing now, I guess?
Make the phone call and just trust the process. Okay? Trust the process. And when you get there, ask that question. Say, I don't understand how this whole thing works. I think this is weird. I think just talking to you is dumb. It's going to be a waste of my time. A therapist can handle that. They're professional. That's their job. Okay? Be honest with them. But here's what we're going for. We're going for that memory, that shame that immediately spins your body up. Your body spends all day coming up with these looping thoughts, trying to get a hold of it, these sexualized thoughts, these obsessive behaviors, these obsessive thoughts and these compulsive behaviors. Your brain is working all the time, trying to catch up. What trauma therapy is going to do for you is you're going to wake up And one of these thoughts is going to lightning bolt into your mind, and your body's not going to take off on you. You're not going to feel like you're at war. Your heart's not going to be racing really fast. You're not going to look around the room to see if your wife's pissed off. And her body is going to sense that your body's calm. And so your energy, your shame response, your response to abuse from 20 years ago that your body's still electrified from, your sympathetic nervous system is still firing and firing and firing and firing. Her body's not going to feel that energy and start responding. And she's going to have the courage to tell her parents, you don't get a vote anymore. I'm a grown woman. If y'all are going to tell me what to do and treat me like a kid, I'm hanging up the phone. You don't get to talk to me like that. And if they're paying some of your bills, y'all get to decide our sanity and our maturity and our adulthood isn't worth their money. Whatever the thing is, right? All of this is going to be about establishing boundaries and yada, yada, yada. All these things are important. But first, we're going to start with you and me are in this together. You and me are in this together. What do we want this thing to look like? And I'm going first. I call the counselor. I'm going to get well. Whatever it takes. I'm worth it, and you're worth it, and we are worth it. Alex, thank you so much for the call. Stay on the line. I'm going to send you a copy of Own Your Past, Change Your Future. In fact, I'm going to send you two, one for you and one for your wife, and I want you all to go through them together. And then come visit us in the studios if you ever want to run downtown and hang out. I'd love to meet you in person. Appreciate your courage, man.